Hello, this video is on writing equations. Start by writing down y equals mx plus b. Now let's review what each part means. M is the slope, or in other words, the growth rate. B is the y-intercept, or in other words, the initial amount. X is going to be our independent variable. That's the variable that we would plot along the x-axis. And then y will represent the dependent variable, which goes on the y-axis, the vertical up and down. All right, here's our first problem. Bowl-O-Rama charges $4.50 per game plus a $5 shoe rental. Write the equation for the total cost to bowl games there. All right, let's start by identifying our slope-intercept. Okay, so we have y equals mx plus b. Okay, and think about it. What is the independent variable? What's the variable that's going to affect the total amount? Well, it's going to be the amount of games. Okay, the amount of games that you bowl will determine the final cost. And so that variable we are going to represent with, or that quantity is going to be represented by the x variable. All right, this is going to be the amount of games. Because the amount of games is not dependent upon the cost is dependent upon the amount of games. So the dependent variable is going to be the y-axis. This is going to be the cost. And that makes sense. The more games you bowl, the more it's going to cost you. Now, there is a rate per game. That rate is $4.50. So the rate is going to be the slope. $4.50 per game. Remember, we talked about slope as a unit rate. And then the initial amount you're going to pay, the fixed cost, is the shoe rental. That's $5. All right, so our equation is going to be y, the cost, is going to equal 4.50 or 4.5x plus 5. So if I bowled 2 games, that would be $4.50 times 2 is $9 plus 5 would be $14 total. All right, here's our next example. Sam started saving money to buy a new laptop computer. His parents gave him $75 to start, and there's a misprint there, just ignore that. And he has plans to add $25 each week. Write the equation to represent the amount of money he is saving. All right, so let's start with y equals mx plus b. So which variable is going to represent the amount of money? That's right, it's going to be the y variable. And the amount of money that he saves is going to be dependent upon the independent variable, which is x. And what does x represent? No, it's not $25. It's not the 75. This is the amount of weeks. All right, so the amount of money he saves is dependent upon how many weeks he's saving up. The initial amount that he's starting with, his parents gave him $75, so that's the initial amount that he's starting. And then the rate that he's saving, the slope, is going to be $25 per week. All right, so our equation is going to be y equals 25x plus 75. So if he saves for 10 weeks, he would have $250 plus 75, he would have $325. All right, let's read this example and then pause your video and write your equation. A 4-foot tree was planted, and over several years, its average growth was 5 feet per year. Write the equation to represent the tree's growth. All right, pause your video, then restart to check your answer. Welcome back from pausing the video. Let's start with y equals mx plus b. All right, so we have two variables, x and y. The y variable is going to represent the height of the tree. And what does the height of the tree in this problem, what's it dependent upon? Well, it's dependent upon time. I mean, there are other variables, of course, like water and food and all that, but take into account that the tree is being taken care of, its growth is going to be measured over time. All right, so time is independent of the height of the tree, but the height of the tree is not independent of time. It's dependent upon time going by so it can grow. What's the initial amount? In other words, the height of the tree initially. Well, that's right, it was 4 feet, so that would go here. And then the rate that it's growing is 5 feet per year, so the 5 feet is the slope. All right, so let's write our equation. The height of the tree, y, is going to equal 5 times x plus 4. So after 5 years, the tree would be 29 feet tall. Does that make sense? How'd you do? All right, let's try this one. The Green Growers Company charges $30 per cubic yard of mulch plus a $50 delivery fee. The yard shop charges $20 per cubic yard of mulch and a $60 delivery fee. Write an equation for each company. Then answer the question, which one is a better deal for 3 cubic yards? All right, pause your video, write the two equations, then figure out the answer to the question, which is a better deal for 3 cubic yards, and restart to check your answer. Welcome back from pausing the video. Let's write the equation for green growers. Okay, so y is going to be the cost, and the cost is dependent upon the amount of cubic yards, x. All right, and the charge or the rate per cubic yard is $30, so it'd be 30 times x. And the initial cost or the fixed amount is a $50 delivery fee. So y equals 30x plus 50. That's the equation for the green growers. Okay, let's write the equation for the yard shop. The yard shop is going to charge $20 per cubic yard, so that's going to be 20 times x. And the initial fee delivery of $60, so that's plus 60. So those are the two equations. So how'd you do on that? Okay, now we have to figure out which one's a better deal for 3 cubic yards. So what do? We substitute 3 in place of x in each equation and calculate what y would be. So for the first company, y is going to equal 3 times 30, which is 90, plus 50. So the Green Growers Company is going to charge $140 for 3 cubic yards of mulch. The yard shop is going to charge 20 times 3 is 60, plus 60 delivery fee. It's going to charge $120. Okay, so the yard shop was a better deal for 3 cubic yards. That's all for tonight. Read some books.